Hi, this is Colleen Pearl the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about the Mercury retrogrades occurring in 2023. If you'd like to get a reading with me, please go to my website, thecoolcrone.com, or send me an email at coolcrone444@gmail.com. On my website, you can click the Book Now button, and then you can look at any of the services that I offer and book an appointment and pay for it right online. If you prefer email, just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. And now, on to Mercury retrograde for 2023. Let's talk about Mercury retrograde in 2023. In this video, we will cover ways to handle the Mercury retrogrades for the year 2023. I hope you will come back to this video throughout the year to review what you need to know to handle each retrograde period. I'm going to be giving you the dates of all the Mercury retrograde periods, so you will want to have your calendars out or pen and paper handy so you can jot down when they will be happening. Then prior to each one, you can review this video and be prepared. Mercury will be retrograde in all Earth signs this year, which means we must re-examine things having to do with our money, our banking systems, agriculture, business, careers, ambitions, and public status. In 2023, Mercury will be turning retrograde 4 times. Now, most years, we usually have 3 Mercury retrogrades, but every once in a while we will have 4, such as in 2017. In 2022, it may have looked like we were having 4, but the 4th retrograde beginning on December 29th, 2022, had the majority of the retrograde happening in 2023. So it's kind of a toss-up. Let's look at the dates of the Mercury retrograde in 2023. The first retrograde, as I just mentioned, begins on December 29th, 2022 at 24 degrees Capricorn, 21 minutes, and continues until it stations direct on January 18th at 8 degrees Capricorn, 8 minutes. The second retrograde commences on April 21st, when Mercury will station retrograde at 15 degrees Taurus, 37, and continue on in retrograde motion until it reaches 5 degrees Taurus, 50 minutes on May 15th. On August 23rd, Mercury will station retrograde at 21 degrees Virgo, 51 minutes, and continue on until September 15th, when it will station direct at 8 degrees Virgo exactly. And finally, on December 13th, Mercury will station retrograde at 8 degrees Capricorn, 29 minutes, and continue in its retrograde motion until it hits 22 degrees of Sagittarius, 10 minutes, on January 2nd of 2024. And note the beginning date of this retrograde, 8 degrees Capricorn, which is the same degree that it stations direct 12 months prior. Let's talk about some ways that you can handle Mercury retrograde, especially in the Earth signs. The universe gives us Mercury retrograde for lots of reasons, most of which it gives us a chance to catch up with things that didn't get completed in the previous few months. There are about 3 months in between the end of one retrograde period and the beginning of the next. And in those months, there are usually quite a few things that fall through the cracks and don't get done. Mercury retrograde is the perfect time for going back and redoing these projects, whether it's finishing up a book you started or finalizing the paperwork for a new business. The retrograde period is meant for going back to old business and making it complete. However, for many of us, we can't always put everything else on hold during the retrograde period. So we need ways of coping with the frustrations of the retrograde period in real time. When Mercury retrogrades in an Earth sign, You must be very practical about finding a solution and strictly adhere to limits of time or budget. Money often plays a big part of both the problem and the answer when Mercury is retrograde in an earth sign. You would do best to stick to tried and true ideas and save the out of the box solutions for when Mercury is in an air or fire sign. These are the areas of life that are ruled by Mercury. All kinds of communication, such as listening, speaking, learning, and reading, editing, researching, negotiating, selling, buying. Mercury also rules all formal contracts and agreements, as well as important documents such as book manuscripts or term papers, deeds, contracts, leases, wills, policies, and so forth. Included under this planet's domain are all types of coding, including computer coding, as well as commerce, transportation, shipping, and travel. When this planet retrogrades, these areas tend to get scrambled or spin out of control. And why does this happen? When a planet retrogrades, it is in a resting or sleeping state. Therefore, while Mercury naps, the activities that it governs don't have the benefit of a well-functioning, wide-awake planet to supervise them. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn in 2022. A Capricorn Mercury retrograde will affect business and government. The last time we had this retrograde was from January 27th to February 4th in 2022, when Mercury started its retrograde in Aquarius and slipped back into Capricorn for about a week. This was the same period when the US and Russia clashed over Ukraine at the UN. Also, the FDA gave their approval for the second coronavirus vaccine. And Spotify reported their shares to be rebounding after Joe Rogan issued an apology for spreading COVID-19 misinformation. Each of these items were about things that had been put forward previously, but were unable to move forward. Mercury retrograde in 2023. Let's talk about the planets as they will affect Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. Now, this is going to affect anyone who has cardinal sign planets, sun, moon, or rising. We just spoke about the earth signs and how they will be affected. But people who have planets in Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn will also be quite strongly affected by this Mercury retrograde. In addition, this retrograde involves conjunctions to both Venus and Pluto at the outset, plus a sextile to Neptune, just for fun. This will be an intense retrograde period where you may begin a relationship just as Mercury is going retrograde. The conversation will be very charged, very intimate, intense, and have a faded quality. The combined efforts of Mercury retrograde and Neptune will succeed in making this into a hall of mirrors. There will be illusions, delusions, and just plain fakery involved here, but at least one party will not know it until the retrograde period is over. So be very careful with any relationships now. If you can avoid starting one, then do so, because the outcome will have you disappointed. As the retrograde period progresses, the situation may actually get worse as the physical urges are boosted by a quincunx to Mars. Again, this will feel very fated, like a soulmate situation, but trust me, this is not what you want. When Mercury retrogrades in Capricorn, you can expect confusion and setbacks around the areas of life that Capricorn traditionally rules, like your career, ambitions, and public status. You might also experience setbacks or clashes with authority figures in your life, so be mindful of any behavior or sharp words that could damage others' perceptions of you. Capricorns are among the hardest workers of the zodiac and always strive for perfection. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn could cause some serious hurdles for you as the universe challenges you to act with more maturity in the face of frustration. This is a good time to review and assess your professional ambitions and see where changes are needed. If you're not happy with how things are currently going, it might be time to switch things up when Mercury goes direct. Mercury retrograde in Taurus. Let's look at the planets affecting Mercury retrograde in Taurus. This retro will most keenly affect those with fixed sign planets, sun, moon, or rising. The fixed signs are Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. This retro has the influence of the moon and Uranus, all clustered up together in Taurus just as the retro begins. We also have Mars sextile the whole caboodle from Cancer, which will make things seem comfortable and familiar, but still urge you to go for it. What is it that you will want to go for? Well, there could be desires to change up your financial picture or portfolio. While the connections with these planets are not super negative, we are talking about a Mercury retrograde here, which will stop all normal transactions and direct communications. So you basically will be in the dark about your money. Not only that, but this retrograde will be in effect as we pass through a lunar eclipse on May 5th, while Mercury retrograde is in opposition to the moon in Scorpio. Not a good look. Be careful with your funds during this retrograde and don't make any changes to your portfolio during this time. However, don't worry about things that happen to your money from outside forces during this time, because most likely things will correct once the retrograde period is over. When Mercury retrogrades in Taurus, there's a focus on all things related to your personal values, financial resources, and all areas of life that Taurus traditionally governs. It's common to find yourself faced with unexpected expenses or unforeseen financial issues during this time. If you've been thinking about money you're owed or even considering asking for a raise, wait until Mercury has gone direct to do so. You can also expect this event to create some low stakes misunderstandings in your relationships, romantic or otherwise, so be careful with the words you choose during your disagreements during this time. It's not all bad news, of course. Mercury retrograde in Taurus will also give you time to rethink your hard boundaries and learn to be more flexible in uncertain situations. This is a good time to revisit your saving strategy and investments and create a budget if you haven't already done so, but don't implement until Mercury is direct. Mercury retrograde in Virgo. This retrograde will affect those with Earth planets, Sun, Moon, or rising from 5 to 11 degrees. The most positive effects will be felt by these people. The most negative effects will be felt by people who have mutable planets, Sun, Moon, or rising at the same degrees. This retrograde does have the blessings of both Uranus and Jupiter on it. The opening salvo is a trine to Uranus, which means that there will be some sort of a surprise happening right off the bat. Now, it may not seem positive at first, but if you give it a bit of time to develop, say 2 weeks, you'll find that it is a huge blessing. Huge. Jupiter. However, don't think you can just sit back and bask in fortuna. You still have to do all the usual Mercury retrograde things. Don't kid yourself. It's just that there will be some nice goodies coming out of this one, even though it's going to be a tough one to get through. They will be in the area of your chart where you actually have Virgo. That's the key here. So depending upon which house you have Virgo in, that's where the goodies will land. If you were hoping to catch a break before the third Mercury retrograde of 2023, prepare yourself instead for more mayhem. On August 23rd, 2023, Mercury will station retrograde in the sign of Virgo and stay there until September 15th, 2023. And although Mercury retrograde only lasts a few weeks, you should prepare to feel the effects of the pre-shadow period starting on August 4th as well as the lingering energy that comes with the post-shadow period ending on September 30th. Now, I haven't spoken about the shadow periods in the other two Mercury retrogrades because I don't feel that they will be that bad. But this Mercury retrograde, number 3, coming in August, feels different. When Mercury retrogrades in Virgo, you can expect all the classic symptoms that come with Mercury retrograde, particularly problems with miscommunication, missed deadlines, unexpected delays, and general crankiness from everyone around you. And this will likely be the toughest Mercury retrograde of the year, thanks in part to the fact that Mercury is the planetary ruler of Virgo, which makes things messy. Not to mention, this month, Mercury will form a conjunction with Mars, the planet of sex, passion, and sensuality, as well as an opposition to Neptune, the planet of dreams and disillusionment, adding an extra chaotic twist on top of the Venus retrograde in Leo happening at the same time. With all these planets facing off, it might be time to admit you have someone in your life that's taking advantage of you. This is a great time to ask yourself if you feel good about your close relationships and focus on building your self-confidence as an individual. And finally, we come to the second Mercury retrograde in Capricorn for 2023. As far as planets go affecting this Mercury retrograde, it's the same as it was in January, the cardinal signs. So if you have sun, moon, rising, or any personal planets in those cardinal signs, you are going to feel this retrograde very keenly. Also, if you have sun, moon, rising, or any astrological points in the earth signs, you will also feel this Mercury retrograde keenly. The last Mercury retrograde of the year begins in Capricorn and ends up in Sagittarius. This is sure to end the year with a bang. Mercury will begin the pre-shadow period in Sagittarius on November 25th before stationing retrograde in the sign of Capricorn on December 13th. Mercury will spend the rest of the holiday season causing a bit of trouble before stationing direct on January 1st, 2024 in Sagittarius. And as always, you can expect the post-shadow period to drag things out until closer to the end of the month. When Mercury retrogrades in Sagittarius and Capricorn together, you may find yourself turning down invitations to go out and fighting about random drama with friends, having issues with bookings and travel plans, as well as generally feeling less energetic and spontaneous than you usually do. It's common for this transit to bring back some bad habits and indulgent behaviors to help you cope with the stress of real world problems. Try to say that 5 times fast. On the positive side, this Mercury retrograde is a good time to get back to the basics. With the new year on the horizon and 2023 finally in the rearview mirror, now is a good time to test the foundation of where you are right now, what you're feeling, and look ahead to where you want to go. So if you're looking for permission to hide away from the world and figure out your next move, this would be the time to do it. This is the most interesting retrograde period because it's the first time in a long time where Mercury moved from an earth sign back into a fire sign. I'm devoting a special video to this Mercury retrograde alone, so stay tuned for that one. It's going to be really interesting. And now I'd like to make an announcement for my members. I am starting up memberships on my channel for 2023, and I'm looking to you to give me suggestions about the kinds of things you would like to see there. Special live streams for members only with readings or just questions and answers, special videos that only members have access to. You tell me what you like and I'll put it together. I'm so excited to get to know each of you better and to provide valuable predictions and readings for the community. So that's what I have for the Mercury retrograde for 2023, all except the final one, which, as I said, I'll be doing a special video for. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. Leave me some comments and let me know what you'd like to see in terms of the memberships, and I will see you next time.